Hi, my name is Monica, and I'm in Spokane, Washington. A few days ago, a few concerned citizens and organizations came to me asking if I would put together a series of videos that would discuss and dissect and give a little how-to guide on the Indivisible group, the resistance groups, the Never Trump groups, and what they can do to either protect themselves or to try and start a interaction with them, and how to stay safe when going to such events. I'm not being paid to do any of this, and I'm going to use my experience as my 20 some odd, I'm not going to give my age, but my 20 plus odd years experience being in the lobbying field, the protesting field, to make these videos. So it is my opinion, no one else's, so we can have a fight in the comment section if you like. Just a little bit about me. When I was 8 years old, I joined the America's largest, oldest Zionist peer-led youth movement. When I was 14, I did my first trip to DC to lobby. We were lobbying against Chuck Schumer. You might know him. And since then, I've been in about 20 to 25 different protests. They were all peaceful. I've never been in a violent protest. I have, however, been in 2 riots. The first one was in Crown Heights in the 90s when Mayor Dinkins decided to tell the police to stand down and let the residents of Crown Heights riot against the other half of the residents of Crown Heights, which unfortunately ended with the murder of one citizen. And then, unfortunately, at the inauguration, me and my brother and a friend got caught on K Street, and I unfortunately got very upset upon seeing our flag being burnt and thought I could take on about 200 protesters to save the flag, but luckily my brother, being smart, pulled me back, and I just stood there and cried while people laughed at me. I'm not afraid or embarrassed to admit that I cried upon seeing our flag being burnt. So in these videos, there's a series of them. I'll be discussing different points of what to do, how to do it, what to wear, what to say, what not to say. You might agree, you might not, and I'm completely open for civil discourse. I believe in the First Amendment and the right to speak, but I will not engage in hate speech. So if that's what your plan is, to make on comments, just know that I will not reply to them. But I will not be like the left, and I will not delete them. So that's me, and that's what these videos are going to be about. So let's get right to it. Okay, so you might have noticed, change of hat, and the hair's a little messed up. So there's 2 types of people that go to these protests that are against the protests. There's the ones that go in support of whoever they're protesting, and they'll be usually wearing a Trump hat or some sort of Trump shirt or something like that. So this video isn't for you. The rest of the video is for you. For those of you who are going that don't want to be known that you are, there to infiltrate or to get some news tidbits about what's going on, this is important. There's a few things that you should have with you. One, your cell phone, and I talk a bit later about that. Secondly, a hat. A hat is very important for a few reasons. One, make sure it's not a Trump hat. 2, make sure it's not red. You notice my hat, it says Polska. So I'm kind of doing that whole, I could be from Poland or of Polish descent, or, I'm for, Polish refugees, even though there aren't any, but if there were, coming in. Also, because in case anything happens, I can lower it, you can't see my face, or if anything gets hairy, my eyes are protected. Another thing you should have with you is sunglasses. Make sure they're not mirrored. If they're mirrored, they might think you could be a undercover cop or something like that, or an agent. So make sure it's for eye protection in case, God forbid, something happens. Thankfully, in Spokane, we haven't had anything really get violent, but just in case, it's for eye protection. Or you could also wear it so people can't see your face. a lot of people, they want to go to these events and not be seen, but be in them, and they just don't want their face known. So with a hat and sunglasses, you're pretty much covered. Do not, under any circumstance, bring some sort of mask. Even if you have it just tied around your neck because you think you'll fit in more, do not, do not, do not take a mask. I talk about it later and you'll understand why. Wear something, like, I don't like to profile, but wear something that's more kind of down, so you fit in more, because a lot of the people that come to these protests, they dress down and it'll just make you fit in a little bit more. And you want to wear a few layers of clothing, mainly because in case if somebody realizes you're not who you say you are. I don't recommend lying. But there's no reason for you to give your name, occupation, what you do. But if they realize, oh, you're a Trump supporter and you're infiltrating, they might gas you. And by gassing you, I mean they could, it's a jail term, they could have a bottle full of water, urine, God knows what, and it could splash it on you. And so if you have extra layers, you can take the layer off. And also, in case things get violent and you might get hit, it kind of buffers the hit a little bit. I don't recommend, if you are carrying, I don't recommend, pulling it out if things happen to a fight, but that's your call and your decision on how to do it. So that I leave to you. It's a topic I really don't want to discuss. I personally have pepper spray on me at all times. I haven't had to use it, thank God. But really, it's just when you go to these events and the way you're dressed, just you want to blend into the crowd. And remember the words, do not engage, I'm here to observe, and personal space. And remember, you need to watch your footing. So you want to make sure you have good, proper shoe wear in case anything happens, so you can run off. You don't want to be in a place where there's a riot. So proper shoe wear is very, very important. And always have a camera on you at all times. I talk about all this later on. But really, it's just, if you're there to observe and you don't want to get into a fight, don't wear anything that would show some sort of endorsement. I know it's hard because of a lot of us, we want to show our pride and our support. But if you're there for, trying to gain intelligence or friends or some sort of, you're there for whatever reason you're there for, I highly recommend you don't wear a MAGA hat like I do whenever I go to a protest. So it's pretty simple. Try to mingle in the crowd or stay in the back. When I'm there and I'm trying to get a speaker, I'll try to get up front as close as I can. You will get pushed around, and that's not them being, if you're dressed normally and you get pushed around, it's not them being rude or anything. That's just a typical rally. But if you're wearing Trump gear and you start to get pushed around, record. You always want to record everything, and I talk later on about it in another video. So that's pretty much on what you should wear and how to get into a protest. And in later videos, you'll see, we'll go step by step through what to do, how to do it, and this should be fun. Hi again. Okay, so in this section of the video, we're going to discuss how to record or take photos of images happening at a protest, or you're being attacked, or something might come up and you need to document it, but you don't want to get caught documenting it, or if your phone is seized, it not be on your phone so that way it's destroyed. There's many apps that are free for the Android and the iPhone. I use an iPhone. This is your number one weapon at all times, is you want to never leave your house without a full battery. If you can get a battery pack, get an extra battery pack. Make sure your phone is always full. And the actually where I got this idea from was the left. And when we're taking ideas from the left, it's an upside down world. But for the iPhone, the app that I use is called iUp, the letter I and then UP. And what's so great about this app is that it doesn't take the image or video that you record and leave it on your phone. I mean, you do have that option, when setting up the app, but I highly recommend you don't. One, it takes away your space, and especially on the iPhone, you're given only a certain amount of space. It's not like an Android where you can expand. And also, if let's say your phone is taken from you, and they go to delete the image or video, it's not there. So what you do is you go into the App Store, you go to iUp and you download it. It's free. And then when you set it up, you'll be given an option to save to camera roll. Don't do that. You might want to for other events. Trust me, you don't need to. You will get the image back. And then you want to set it to battery mode. So what happens is, let's say you're in an event and somebody realizes that you're not who you're trying to say you are, or you are who you are and you get confronted, or you see someone getting hurt or something like that, and you need to document it. You always want to document whatever happens, because this is how we're able to let the world know what's really going on. This is, like I said it before, this is your number one weapon. Make sure you never leave your house without a full battery, and if possible, have an extra battery pack with you at all times. So what happens is, this is how I've done it before, is I've been engaged in an issue, and I'll be like, hold on one second, my roommate's texting me about my dog. Can you just give me 1 second? Pets, use pets. It's like one of the only things we really have common ground on. Just be like, just 1 second. I just need to really just quickly respond to this, and then we can just go right back. Just hold on 1 second. You quickly just open up the app, make sure it's on battery enabled, and then if you're taking video, you double tap on the screen, and then it will start recording, and it will make your screen black. So it looks like nothing's going on, and then you just hold it like nothing, like, just like normally. And what it's actually doing is recording the entire situation going on. And then just be like, when you're done, just click it off, just get rid of the program. It's completely done. What then happens with the amazingness of this program is it will then take that entire video or picture and it will email it to you. So there is no evidence on your phone that you videotaped anything. And the people being videotaped have no idea that they're being videotaped because your screen is black the whole time. Well, now it isn't, but they will think that it's black and that you weren't videotaping anything. So you can use it then. When you get the email, you will download it from the iUp cloud, and you can upload it from there to Facebook, Twitter, to your blog, to whoever you need to upload it to, and you also have that copy for yourself. So that way you're saving space on your phone, and you're not having to worry that if your phone is confiscated that there's any evidence that you took that image. So they have nothing to take from you, nothing to destroy. So I highly recommend, if you have an iPhone, of getting the iUp app. There's quite a few apps like this on the Android. The number one used to be Capture, but they've changed their name. So when you pull up Capture now, you get the GoPro app. That is not the app. I will try to find out some names of the Android apps and put them in the comments. But there's a bunch of them. And you really need to get this app because it's the number one way to document what is going on without getting caught, and being able to then get this out to the news, to whoever you need to get it to, so that way the truth can be shown of what's going on. So that's the number one way I would recommend for how to clandestinely document at protests, rallies, anything you might see. So here we go. This one is on when you're actually at a protest. Luckily, Spokane has been pretty quiet. Indivisible keeps putting out these posts about how we're going to come to events and we're going to light it up. And lately, they've been pretty quiet. I don't know if it's all talk, no action, or if they're planning for something big. I don't know. You can't put your guard down because they've been saying they're going to come to events and then not, and think, oh, they're just, all talk and not, because, I will say it again, they are hashtag political terrorists, and you never know what will happen. There's one guy in particular in the Indivisible group. I don't know his name, and even if I did, I would not be saying it on video. But he's very vocal, especially when I'm around. He loves to heckle me. And I wouldn't trust him as far as, I could throw him, which really isn't that far because he's much bigger than me. But you don't know what they're capable. We know what they're capable of based off their guide, the Indivisible guide, which I highly recommend that every single person watching this reads. You must read it. You must know it. But you also must know that when you're reading it, a lot of it is lies. A lot of what they claim based off the Tea Party is not true. And you have to keep that in mind. But you also have to realize that what you're reading is a training manual. And you need to take what they say and think in your head at the same time, how can I use this to do what I need to do? Everyone, this is Samson. So you need to take that into consideration when reading this, that one, most of it is hogwash, but at the same time, how can I use this to my benefit? Because some of their points are good points. Using the media to our advantage, especially in a world where the media is not willing to listen to us, or they want to hide whenever anyone that isn't of the left does something good, because gosh forbid we do something good. So when you come across a guy like that, for example, who is very loud, and he will purposely get louder and louder as you try to talk to him because he doesn't believe in engaging in civil discourse. He just believes in disruption, disruption, disruption. And after a while of this person yelling at you and screaming at you as you're trying to just talk to him, it gets very frustrating. And it makes you want to lash out. And I don't mean physically, at least for me, not physically, but verbally. It makes me want to just yell and get my point across. And this is one of their tactics. I know this because when I was a protester, nothing bad, I would protest for pro-Israel things against the UN or against the Iran deal, things like that. That's some of the things I was taught since I was 14 years old to do. Just get louder and louder and louder till they can hear us. But never was I taught to scream in someone's face until they practically have their eardrum punctured. And this is though what they're doing. So if you come into that, if that happens to you, you have to take a step back and realize they will take a step forward for every step you take back. And I mean that literally. I don't mean that figuratively. They will take that step forward. They will get right up into your face. And saying personal space, please take a step back. Sometimes the person might do that, but for the most time, they usually don't. And you have to remain calm. And you have to remember you won't engage, and you have to say that out loud. And make sure you're videotaping this as it's happening. Use the iUp app or the Android version, and make sure you're getting it videotaped. Make sure it is heard that you are saying, I will not engage. Get your point across if you have to, but don't keep fighting it because they're taping you. Remember that you are being taped at all times. And if you do even the littlest thing wrong, if you stumble and bump into the person, that will be videotaped and turned and spun and clipped till it looks like you pushed into the guy and pushed him. So you have to be very careful. You have to make sure you say repeatedly, I will not engage. I will not engage. I'm here to observe. I know it sounds hard and it sounds frustrating, but we're in this new world of protesting that is not the type of protesting that I did 10 years ago, where you were able to do the protesters on one side and then anti-protesters on the other side, and we would not come together. There was always a barricade in between, and we would just kind of yell at each other, and we'd have our signs going. That doesn't happen anymore. Now the protesters are getting right up into each other, and I don't know who to blame on that. I don't know if there is anyone to blame on this, but it makes it for a it makes it for potential violence to happen. And ultimately, in the end, regardless of who started the fight, us on the right always get blamed for it because the media is not on our side. And you have to remember that the media is not on our side. They are not our friends, and it will always turn around against us. So if you have on video, I will not engage, I will not fight you, the personal space, I am here to observe, and you have that on video, we then on our side can get that out to the media in response through different media sources if need be. If our local media will not help us, which they usually don't, we can get it to various other media sites in, so that way there's both stories are being shown from both angles, and at least we have a fighting chance. So that's just something to remember, because your everyday schmo protester isn't there for fight. They're not there to fight. They're not there. They're there because they're angry about something. They want their voices heard. But the indivisible and the resistance protesters and the paid protesters, they're there to start a fight. That's what they want. And that's why they all have cams on their bodies, on their heads, secret cameras. They're there to start a fight, and they're there to get it on camera. And this is all written out in the Indivisible guide. They're saying that they got this from the Tea Party movement. And if you know anything about the Tea Party, and when the Tea Party was created, we didn't really have body cams back then. So kind of debunk that a little bit. So you have to just remember that and keep that in mind, and you have to keep a cool head. I mean, honestly, if they could get somebody to, get so overheated and feel that their life was in danger and they pull, oh, glory, 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 they'd make it onto CNN, and we cannot have that happen. And it's up to all of us, especially if there's a few of you together, to keep each other in check and to make sure that everybody stays calm, collected, and remembers the words, I will not engage. I'm here to observe. And you just gotta, it's hard. I've been in this, I slipped up once and I got caught. It was kind of like a honeypot. And thankfully it didn't really make it around that much because they couldn't really get me on that much. But in that moment, because I got upset, another guy ended up getting upset, and I caught him on camera saying that our president should be shot. And right away, they pulled rank and they pulled him out of there before I could catch him on more things on camera. So we have to remember and do the same exact thing. So if you I go to protests alone. I don't recommend it, but if you feel that you can handle them alone, by all means. You want to come with me? I go to them all the time, but I don't really recommend going to protests alone, because you really have to be able to keep yourself in check and for safety, because it's a little bit different, being a female for the most part. In Spokane, people are a little bit more respectful about not sucker punching somebody in the face, especially if they're a female. New York, a little bit different. But usually also, if there's two of you and somebody gets into an argument, the other person can video. So, but by all means, if you're up for going alone, just make sure you have that camera with you and you remember the words, I will not engage. I'm here to observe. Personal space. Okay. Moving on to another hot topic that people have asked me about. How do I know what's going on in my neighborhood when it comes to protesting, or as I call it, hashtag political terrorism? Well, there's many ways, but the number one way is Facebook. All you have to do is type in things like there's a search bar up top. Many people don't know about it, but there's a search bar up top, and you can just type in any word, and it will pull up many, many things. Facebook is more than just a place to go to share pictures, to share birthdays, to share fun memories, or to vent and share cat memes. So, words you could type in is things like Indivisible Spokane. And what it will do is it will bring up a list of all the groups. It will also bring up any post that anybody has written in the past few days that have the words indivisible in it. Another word you could put in is resist, and it will bring up also the resist groups, and any words anybody might have typed that have the words resist in it as well. Sometimes you get some fun posts to look at. But when you find these groups, I highly recommend that you take a look at them. And, if you want to really be informed, you just click like, and you just get on you like their pages, and you'll start to get their updates. With the closed groups, though, however, some of them will just automatically, they don't think about it, and they'll just let you join. Other groups like Indivisible, they actually, I've been kicked out of their group like 3 times. They will send you a message and want to know why you want to join the group. And I mean, you can lie, or you could tell them the truth, or you could just be like, I forget it, I don't want to be a part of it. So it's really up to you. But take into account that when you join these groups, you're going to see things you don't like. You might see pictures of people stepping on flags, burning flags, you name it, you're going to see it. And if you're a patriot, you're not going to like it. So when you join these groups, you have to realize that you're joining them because you want to know what's going on. You're not joining these groups to start a fight. And that is the first rule of working against these, as I call it, hashtag political terrorism groups. When you join them, you do not go into these groups to start a fight, because one, they're going to delete your post right away, and then they're going to ban you. And the whole point of joining them was because you wanted to find out what was going on, what's coming up in the communities. And if you go in there with guns blazing, you're not going to get anywhere. Another group to join is PJALS, PJALS. They say they're peace, justice, warriors. It stands for Peace, Justice Action League. But in truth, they stand behind the BLM group. They have their BDS group in hiatus right now, but in truth, they really are an anti-Semitic, not patriotic hate group in a sense. They say otherwise, but it's not the truth. If you do some research in them, you'll see it. I don't even need to list links. You can just look at their actions. They're constantly doing anti-Trump rallies, you name it. If it's again, they're doing it. So, but then with their group, you can just like their page, and you will get a list whenever there's a protest coming up. They're there. They're actually getting ready to do a day without women event where they're calling for all women across the country to not go to work, to not work, to not buy anything, and to wear red. And now they're actually asking college students to get on board and also not go to school that day, to not buy anything, and to wear red as well. I implore anyone watching this that might feel that this is something to do. It's not going to do anything, and I ask you, what rights have women lost since Donald Trump came into office? If you can name me one right that a woman has lost, I will personally buy you coffee. So there's groups like PJALS, then there's CAIR, CAIR, then there is Spokane Favs. Those are the 3 main players right now and Indivisible, of course. So those are the 4 big players in Spokane right now. And I highly recommend that you keep an eye on them. And that's how you'll find out what's going on. Then there is the source-based moveon.org, moveon.org. With them, you can actually, they're a part of Indivisible. And with them, they actually have it set up where you can put in your zip code and it will tell you every single Indivisible event that is going on in your district. It's sad, I'm very sad to say this, but there is an Indivisible group in every district in America. So with them, you can actually put in your phone number and they will text you when there's events going on, or you can sign up for their list, give them only the minimum amount of information you have to. Never give them your address. Just give them your email address. And if you have to make up a fake email address to do it, make up a fake email address. You never want to give them more information than you have to. That way you'll just get sent when there's marches going on. So that way you can know they're going on. One, to avoid them, or two, if you want to go and protest their protest. But realize that whenever you get involved in these things, the less you say, the more information you will get. Don't go into these groups with, like I said before, don't go in with guns blazing, because if you do, you will get kicked out right away. And that's not how you infiltrate or you are going to fight these groups, because they have the power of these pages as admins to kick you out, to censor you. And even though they claim to believe in the First Amendment, they don't. They only believe in the First Amendment when it comes to them, to the left, and they want to silence us at all costs. And as the Spokane media showed last week with the People's Town Hall, they're pretty good at censoring what really happens. So if you can be quiet and just read what's going on and take it in, and educate yourself on what their narrative is, and are able to then turn it around on them, they can't stand it. And I know this from personal experience. They can't stand it. And the more that we're able to chip away at that foundation and prove that they are what they say they're not, it makes us stronger. So that's another way that you can fight these protesters and these paid organizers and these paid groups. And like the saying, what the saying was, the more you know. So that's another step that you can take with fighting these protesters, is through education and through, I guess, infiltration. They're doing it to us, so why don't we just do it to them? So moving on. We're going to touch a little hairy spot. On the day of the inauguration, there was widespread riots throughout D.C. I was there. I actually got caught up in the riot on K Street. It was not fun. And a lot of people were arrested, and a few of them were reporters, and a few were Trump supporters that they were trying to get through it, and they got accidentally caught up in it and were mistaken for being rioters and were arrested. Later on, they were released when it was all sorted out. But what happens if you're at a protest and, God forbid, it turns into a riot? What do you do? So, one, do not cover your face. Even if there's smoke and it's hard to breathe, do not cover your face. The number one thing police look for when people are rioting are those that cover their face. Most states have it that covering your face is illegal. I'm not sure if Washington State has that law, and with our governor, probably not. King Inslee does what he does. But if you have to, just go like this to get a little air, but do not do this at all. Seriously, don't do it. Because then the police will think that you are potential, because you'll be dressed normally. If you're trying to infiltrate the protest, they will think you're a rioter and you might get arrested. But what do you do when the cops come and they go to arrest you? What is number one rule? Do not resist. Immediately listen to every single thing that they are saying. Let them know right away that you came to the protest to observe, not to engage, and that you are not a part of the riot slash protest. I mean, at first, if you see the riots breaking out, leave right away. Don't stay to take video. But if you do stay because you're stupid like me, and it happens, number one, let them know that you are only here to observe and not to engage, and you have nothing to do with the event, and do not resist. If they happen to take you in right away, go through the process, get a hold, lawyer, family, and just make sure you let them know that you were not a part of the protests at all, and let the court system, cops do what they have to do. Make sure to tell them thank you for their service, though. But just know that if it happens, do not resist because, you're innocent and you think if you can, talk to them about that. No, it doesn't work like that. Just make sure you let them know once you've been placed in handcuffs. Don't talk to them first. The only thing you should say is, I'm not going to resist, and then follow every order they tell you, and then let them know. But the first thing you should do is leave. You should not stay behind. You should not take any video. You should not, nothing. You should just leave the area immediately and do not cover your face. This is not a time to be a video photographer. This is not a time to be a hero. This is not a time to go. You'll probably see a flag being burnt. Do not make the mistake I did in DC in trying to go and save the flag from being burnt. I almost got lynched by over 200 people. It is not the time to be a hero. It is a time for you to leave the area immediately because it's dangerous. You yourself could get hurt, and no pulling of any weapons. It's just not worth it. So when it comes to events like that, I know you might feel you're trained or you have a concealed permit and you feel your life's in danger and you need to use it. No, just leave the area immediately. Keep your face uncovered. Just leave, go away from this area, and then you can make your video and you can talk about what's going on, let people know, but don't do it there. Don't do what I do. Don't do what I do. And then there's really not much more to say on this topic besides just leave the area. And if you do accidentally get arrested, do not resist. Let them know who you are, that you're not a part of it, and then take it from there and just follow their instructions at all times. So that's really all there is to say on the topic of getting arrested. Okay, so I think this is a common occurrence for some. I know for me, this is an everyday occurrence. When I wear my MAGA hat, I know when I leave my house that I will at least have one encounter with one person every day. I know it. The most recent lately has been witches bewitching me, whatever. But when you walk out of your house and you're wearing a Trump hat, anything that's political that defines you as being on the right, you have to realize that there comes a responsibility with that. And if somebody calls you out as being racist, a Nazi, misogynistic, sexist, you have to realize that when you walked out wearing that hat or that shirt, that you're calling attention to yourself. And you can't get bent out of shape because of it. Because you're deciding to wear that shirt. And that's your right to wear that shirt or hat or hoodie or scarf or whatever it is you decide to wear. And the person yelling at you, even though they're being highly rude, they have that right to do that to you. And it's something you have to think about when you choose to wear those outfits. And it used to not be that way, but that's how it is now. But there's ways to respond when you get called out. and things that sometimes I ignore it. When it's been happening at 4, 5, 6 times a day, by the end of the day, I'm kind of annoyed. And usually what I do is I like to kill them with love. They don't expect it, they'll call it out. Like usually I get the Nazi, and you know, they expect me to call something back out, and sometimes they're ready for a fight, and I don't give them a fight. I usually will yell back, "God bless America, God bless you." They really don't like that. I don't know why, but they don't like that. Or I'll be like, "Have a great day," or stuff like that. I don't engage, and try not to engage, because when you engage, it causes a fight. And that's when the cameras come out and they start videoing. And before you know it, it's all over Facebook, it's all over YouTube. Oh, Trump supporter starts a fight with poor old blah, blah, blah. And for some reason, the person who yelled at you all of a sudden is this poor person with some strange, weird disease or something. And it's totally not that they yelled at you, you were a racist. It's the fact that you stood up for yourself. So it's usually better to just either ignore it and keep going on your way, or if you really, really have to, say something nice back. They don't expect it. And, it's they have this new thing called the Truth Project, or the Love and Truth Project. I don't know. They keep coming up with new ones every day. I can't keep up with it anymore. But if you take that and you take that narrative, this is where it all comes down to. This is the secret to fighting Indivisible, and to fighting the resist and never Trump and the white pantsuit militia and army. This is, if you really want to fight them, you have to fight them on with their narrative. And their narrative is love trumps hate. So if you switch it to Trump loves hate, and that doesn't really make sense, but I think you get what I'm saying, where that we love, and that we're not these horrible, vicious people that they think we are, that we're these normal Americans, that we're not these Nazis or these Ku Klux Klan folk or these white power folk, but we're these normal, God-loving Americans, of all shapes, sizes, colors, and creeds. They can't handle it. They don't know what to do. And and the best one is when they start fighting with you. I did this the other day. When they start fighting with you, you can always throw it off and be like, "Do you wonder if Trump is going to get a dog or a cat?" That was the best one I ever did. It just stopped the fight completely. And the person was like, you just throw them off with just questions that just don't make sense, to like that have nothing to do with policy, but is like something on like a common ground or human level. They don't understand or know what to do about it. And it's stealing their narrative. And that's one of the strongest weapons we have, is if you can steal their narrative and flip it around on them and show that we're these normal people, because that's who we are. There's all this stuff about how, like, the alt-right and the KKK and the white supremacists voted in Donald Trump. That's not who voted in Donald Trump. We voted in Donald Trump. Here, I'm Jewish. I'm not some white supremacist. I'm not some racist, sexist, xenophobic. I don't even know what xenophobic means. Like, I think I know what it means, but I don't think I know what it means. And I'm perfectly fine admitting that. Perfectly fine. But when we're able to take all these words and prove them wrong, and prove that we're actual human beings that have opinions, and that we care about making America great through trade and through better foreign policy, and not just it's not all just about, banning these countries from coming into America, but real things that affect America, like jobs and wanting our children to have a better country and not be in so much debt. These are things that they actually like care about. They just don't realize it. Like, if you go up to a protester and you ask them, like, do you want your kids to have to have a job? Do you want to have more jobs? Do you want more manufacturing jobs in America rather than Canada? And they say yes. They don't realize that that's a Trump thing. And then when you ask them, like, do, do you believe in building the wall? And they'll say no. And then you'll be like, well, do you believe in open borders? And then they might say yes. And then you'll be like, well, what about terrorists getting inside? Then they start to the cogwheels start going, and they start trying to come up with answers that will counter the fact, because they don't want terrorists to come in, but they want open borders. But how can you have open borders without letting terrorists in? And that's when like the circuits start to go. So you have to start questioning them, but you have to word it differently. So you have to really think about how you speak to the left, because everything these days is how everything is worded. It's not about being PC anymore, but it's about how everything is spun. And that's how you win. And it's not, you're not trying to convert them over to conservatism or being a moderate or being a Republican. That's not what you're trying to do. You're just trying to prove to them that you can be, pro-America and you can be a nationalist without hating our president and without being a racist, even though I never knew that being American was being a racist, because America isn't a race. But according to the left, it now is. But you can, it's so fun to watch. But at the same time, it's amazing, when you're able to have these conversations and you're actually able to make them have a conversation with you, which is something that they don't want to have, and that they're in the Indivisible guide says not to have. And you're able to force them, well, not force them, but you're able to get them into these conversations, and they're actually agreeing with you without realizing it. And it's a beautiful thing. When you do it, you understand what I'm talking about. But it shows how America used to be and not how it is now, where everyone's divided into these different groups, and you're able to talk to them and show how we're not a divided group. We're Americans, and America first doesn't mean, oh, we're closing the world off. We're just trying to give Americans jobs and give Americans food and give Americans homes. And it's something we all agree on. It's just the way that it's said. And if you're able to do all of this, everything we've discussed throughout this whole entire video, you've won the battle. And it's hard. This whole entire endeavor is hard. And all of it's put on us to do. But, I mean, it's worth it. One person at a time, you just talk to somebody for 5 minutes and you could you're not going to change them into, a Republican or a libertarian or a moderate, but you're going to get them thinking a little bit. So that way, the next time they go to a protest, they might not agree 100% with, I need to go and resist everything. They might instead think, well, maybe we could find some common ground that we could start working on. Maybe we can start fixing the foundation of our country and then work on the house later. And that's our job. And that's how we fight political terrorism. We don't use our guns. We don't use weapons. We don't use our fists. We use our mouth. We use our brain. And if you can do that, you're a G.I. Joe, in my opinion. And I have mad props for you. I'm trying to do it every day, and I'm trying to help as many people as I can to do this. And it's very hard, and it takes some work, it takes some finesse, but it's very it once you get it down, it's easy. It's I don't know who said it, but it's like butter. So this is the task you have. This is pretty much as much explanation as I can give you on how to fight the protester, infiltrate the protests, infiltrate the groups, and just remember, it's you need to bite your tongue sometimes. You need to stay quiet sometimes when you see things you don't like and just videotape it. You need to remember, I will not engage, I will observe, and I got your back. And a lot of us have your back if you feel alone. There's a lot of us that have your back. So good luck out there.